Cops banging at my backyard gate. Sirens bouncing off the stone walls, blue and red, dancing across the pool water while a couple of neighbors whisper from behind their mailboxes like they're waiting for a parade of shame to go by. You ever want to know what hell feels like in suburbia? Try being accused of public indecency for sunbathing in your own backyard, minding your business, just breathing for once without all the eyes and judgments. And the punchline, if you can call it that, was the charge didn't come from a stranger or some random crank, but straight from Beverly Hughes, Queen Bee of Willow Grove, president of the HOA, a woman who could weaponize the phrase, community standards so hard you'd swear she invented the term. All it took was one phone call from her, and suddenly overnight I was the talk of the town, the freak show, the disabled girl supposedly exposing herself to kids' headline bait for every gossipy group text on the block. I'll tell you, for a second, maybe two, I started to believe it. Maybe I really was the problem. Maybe I should have just shut my mouth closed. My curtains let the world go by without ever seeing my skin, my limp, my braces, my damn self. But let me back up a sec. My name's Emily Carter, 31, and if you've never heard of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, good for you, because it means your joints don't randomly dislocate just from stretching out in the sun. It means you haven't spent half your life patched up, bandaged, or wondering if this is the day your body just gives out. I bought this tiny blue house because of the backyard, a postage stamp with a privacy fence, a little pool, the one place I thought I could finally just be. See, pool therapy is the only time I don't feel like I'm made out of broken glass. And sometimes on a good day, I even felt pretty sitting out on the warm deck in my old school one-piece headphones on letting the sun work some kind of magic on my aching joints. My boyfriend Jake, who's convinced a woman who limps is somehow the most beautiful thing on earth, worked late most nights, but every evening he'd check in. Did I get some sun? Did the water help? Did I eat? He really cared. And for a while, things were not perfect, but peaceful. The first time I met Beverly, she literally popped her head over the fence like some kind of groundhog, all teeth and pearls, and goes, "Well, aren't you brave, darling, being out here like that?" At first I thought she meant my tan lines or my taste in swimsuits, but no, she kept talking, couldn't imagine being out here with all that equipment showing. She meant my knee braces, my cane, the purple splotches up and down my legs. I laughed it off, told myself I'd rather be brave than boring, but it started to eat at me. She never let up. Every time I was outside, she'd find some excuse to hover, sometimes alone, sometimes with her little HOA board entourage, always taking notes, snapping photos, making comments about proper attire in visible spaces. It became a game I couldn't win. Next week, I get a notice in my mailbox. Residents are reminded to maintain appropriate decorum in all visible areas. Jake tried to make light of it, said maybe Beverly was jealous. I looked better than her in a swimsuit. I tried to smile, but every time I stepped outside, I felt those eyes burning holes through the fence. Then came the whispers. One neighbor saying her daughter was scared by the metal on my legs, another who used to wave at me now turning away. Even the dogs seemed tense. Then one afternoon, Beverly lost any sense of subtlety. She yells over the fence loud in front of kids, "Emily, do you really think it's right to be out here like that? The children are traumatized." I bit back tears and told her. She didn't want her kids seeing someone like me. Maybe she should just mind her business or, I don't know, not stare. She calls me disgusting, a bad influence. If you were my daughter, I'd keep you inside for your own good and everyone else's. That one hurt. I went inside, locked the door, cried till my chest hurt. I didn't want to be the neighborhood monster. That night, Jake found me on the floor, still shaking. He wanted to call someone, file a complaint, move, anything. But all I wanted was to disappear. Next morning, new envelope official, HOA letterhead, stamped urgent. Any further display of medical equipment and bodily exposure could lead to fines, hearings, forced mediation. Please consider the sensitivities of others. Like I was some kind of public menace. I started to believe it. For days, I barely went outside. I told Jake I was thinking of selling, starting over somewhere I could just blend in. He was furious, not at me, but at the whole situation. Don't give them the satisfaction. This is your house. They don't get to take that from you. But I didn't believe him. Not really. I spiraled. Maybe I really was too much, too visible. I stopped answering friends, ignored my mom's calls, let myself fade into the wallpaper. I kept thinking, don't be like Emily or you'll scare the neighborhood kids. I almost gave up then. On a whim, I opened an old group chat with friends who all had their own disabilities, all had stories about being too much for someone's comfort. I told them everything. Their response wasn't pity. It was, let's throw a party. Make it the most visible damn day Willow Grove's ever seen. So we did. 3 days later, my backyard looked like a pride parade collided with a rehab center, wheelchairs, walkers, crutches, more colors than Beverly's nightmares. We had chips, music, inflatable flamingos, and more attitude than any HOA could handle. I didn't ask for permission. Jake made a sign, orange, sloppy, big letters, warning pool may contain disabled people. By noon, the pool was packed, and we were laughing so loud you could probably hear us all the way to Beverly's immaculate living room. It didn't take long. Beverly showed up, lips tight, phone out, HOA board in tow, and of course she called the cops. There's an indecent gathering, she announced loud enough for every curtain twitcher to hear. There are sick people in bathing suits in full view of children. Cops rolled up 2 officers, clearly not thrilled about being dragged out for this. Beverly tries to play her hand. They're exposing themselves, making my children uncomfortable. I showed the officers the fence, 6 feet of solid wood, nothing but nosy neighbors could see over. I explained my therapy, my diagnosis, handed over the ridiculous HOA warnings, and security footage of Beverly literally leaning over the fence, phone in hand, zooming in on us. The cops looked at each other, then at Beverly. Ma'am, no laws are being broken here. If you're uncomfortable, maybe just don't look. She turned red, sputtered about legal action, but the older cop just shrugged. If you keep calling with false reports, we'll have to cite you for harassment. She stormed off, nearly tore her front door off the hinges. But she wasn't done. The next week's special HOA meeting, her grandstand to restore order. She waves around bylaws, blurry photos of me and my friends. But for the first time, people push back. The couple across the street who'd always kept quiet stood up, said their kids loved waving at me. Mrs. O'Neill, who once borrowed my walker for a sprained ankle, told the room Beverly was using the HOA to settle personal grudges. One by one, people started speaking up, not just for me, but for every neighbor Beverly had harassed, fined, shamed. Jake read a letter from my doctor explaining why pool therapy was a medical necessity for me. Another neighbor pointed out Beverly's trespassing the unauthorized photos. Someone even joked that maybe the problem wasn't people like Emily, but people who couldn't handle seeing others live differently. The vote wasn't even close. The board suspended Beverly's presidency pending investigation. There was talk of censure, even legal action. But the look on Beverly's face, watching her little kingdom crumble under the cheap lights of the clubhouse, that was all I needed. She wouldn't meet my eyes, just pushed past neighbors who now turned away from her, their whispers aimed at her for once. After that, the air felt different. Nobody apologized. They didn't need to. People waved again. Kids left sidewalk chalk hearts at my gate. Jake and I sat out on the deck, music low sunsetting, and for the first time in a long time, I just let myself exist, bruises and all. Sometimes the real victory isn't making them like you. It's making them powerless to hurt you. That's what I learned, and that's what I hope sticks with anyone hearing this when they try to shame you out of your own life. Stand your ground. Let them stew in their own silence. So what do you think? Was I wrong to push back? Or is there a line when community turns into control? Let's hear it. Sound off below. Because if you ask me, justice is a lot more interesting when the whole neighborhood's watching.